Hello friends. So today's educational video is on cloud dynamics and the different types of clouds that we see in nature. So this is the third educational video in this series. The first one was on cyclones, second one was on monsoon, and somebody requested that I put up this cloud dynamics module. So again, this is a very basic uh, module. I have not tried to cover too much mathematics or equations. So only the physical aspect is given. Right. So let us go ahead. So the cloud dynamics or its formation basically depends on the stability and the stability of the atmospheric component that uh, is what we are talking about. So basically, when I say stability, it is the stability of a parcel. So this is just a schematic showing that if a parcel is stable or unstable, then how will it affect the cloud dynamics? Okay. So obviously, the instability of the parcel is very important for cloud formation, as we will see in the next few slides. So what are the factors that determine cloud formation? So the first and the foremost thing is the rate at which the air parcel cools. So we all know that as the parcel rises up, or the air parcel, let us assume a dry parcel which has very little moisture. Well, as it rises up, it will cool because the pressure drops. So that cooling we can easily calculate from laws of thermodynamics, and air parcel will theoretically cool at a rate of 10 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So every 1 kilometer, the parcel will cool by 10 degrees C. So if the parcel is 30 degrees C at ground, then once it reaches 1 kilometer, then the parcel will be 20 degrees Celsius. Okay. And the wet parcel, which has a lot of moisture or which is fully saturated, that will cool at a rate of 6 degrees Celsius per kilometer. And this lower rate of cooling is because of latent heat of condensation. Okay, so when the heat is released, there is additional energy that the parcel attains, and hence the cooling rate is reduced. And this cooling, as we go up, is nothing but the convective available potential energy. Okay, so so as the parcel rises up, it stores potential energy, and that is basically the convective potential energy that is present in the system. So how tall the parcel can rise. Okay, so higher the cape, that means higher the potential energy of the system. So taller is the system from the ground. Okay, that is what it basically means. So cape is basically a metric for understanding how much convection has happened, because if the convection is strong, then the parcel can rise to a very large height. All right, so that is what is one of the important factors. Okay, how quickly the parcel cools and how much convective potential energy is available in the parcel. That is basically how much away from the ground it can go up. Okay, and if the environment cools faster than the parcel, so there are two things here: one is environment and one is the parcel. Okay, because the parcel is rising in a atmospheric environment. So if the environment cools faster, then the cape will be higher because the parcel will keep rising. Okay, and that is what is important, right? So it will be an unstable system compared to an environment, because the environment is cooler, the parcel is hotter, so it will keep rising. Okay, and we all know that as air rises, it condenses to form dewdrops and hence clouds. Okay, so this is the basic physics of how a cloud forms. As our air parcel rises, it cools, and there is the height to which it rises is important, and it's given by cape. And then as it rises, it forms dewdrops and clouds. Okay. The other thing that is important is the sin, which is nothing but the convective inhibition. So convective inhibition is basically how much uh, resistance atmosphere is offering to the parcel. Okay, so this basically is a quantity which is not allowing the parcel to grow to higher heights. Okay, so high cape and low sin will mean more updraft. Okay, so if sin is lower, convective inhibition is lower, that means the parcel has the potential to rise to much higher values. Okay, and that is very important. Okay, so low sin is good and high cape is good for formation of clouds. All right, so these are the two things which we have to keep in mind. And like I already said, the environment cools faster than the um, parcel, then it will be a convective instability. Okay, because the parcel will keep rising up, and that is what I have shown here in this schematic. So this is the environmental cooling rate, and this is the parcel cooling rate. And if the parcel is at a higher line, is above this environmental line, then that means it is a convective instability. So basically, the cape is high and sin is low. Sin, which is the convective inhibition, is low, as opposed to convective stability, where the reverse happens, where the environment cools at a lower rate. Okay, so that means that it is more stable. So sin is high, so the convective inhibition is high, so it will not allow for the parcel to grow to higher heights, and that is not good because it will not lead to formation of thunderclouds. Right, thunderclouds require a lot of cape and lot of and low sin, so that they can grow to very tall heights. Okay, so far we have discussed cape and sin, and cape should be high and sin should be low for clouds to form. Okay, and rain bearing clouds to form, because moisture is always there, so moisture will ensure that the cloud condenses and sorry, the parcel condenses and forms clouds. Okay, then there is one more thing which is known as deep moist convection, and this is usually associated with cumulonimbus clouds. Okay, so as the water vapor rises, we have already talked about how it rises. Okay, it will condense, and as it condenses, it will build up the latent heat. Okay, because of the presence of moisture in the parcel, latent heat will build up. Upon reaching the dew point, this latent heat will be released instantaneously, and this will allow the clouds to grow further vertically up, and this will also lead to a good amount of turbulence in the cloud, so the cloud parcels will keep colliding with each other, and that will ensure that the cloud keeps growing and growing, and it will reach to a stage where the particles can freeze, and once they freeze it becomes ice, and that is exactly what we see as hail. Okay, because these particles are hitting each other because of the turbulence, and as they hit each other they keep coagulating, right? They keep uh, fusing with each other, right? So the parcel will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and once it grows to a size which cannot be sustained in the atmosphere, it will just fall down. That's exactly how rain and hail comes down, right? Because the parcel has water parcel has grown to a very big size, and it will just fall down as rain or hail. Okay, so this deep moist convection usually happens when there is very high cape and low sin. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. So now we have understood the dynamics of clouds and how thunderclouds can form because of deep moist convection. Normal clouds have normal cape and normal sin. Okay, thunderclouds have high cape and low sin. Okay, so now the stages of development is the following: that initially there is a lot of updraft, and we already talked why there is an updraft, because of convective instability, and that updraft as the parcel rises, the parcel will cool and it will start condensing into clouds. Okay, and then later on, because of turbulence, the cloud will grow further upwards because a lot of turbulence is there, and latent heat is also released, so it will keep growing up, and at that point, in the mature stage, it will also start producing rain, and this is what is the rain component. And then finally there's a dissipating stage where the cloud has lost all its moisture by dropping as rain or hail. Okay, so these are the three stages of cloud development. A very simple science exercise you can do at home, which will show you how clouds can condense and how they will form. This is something that I did at home. So you just take a container, put a candle on the bottom, and put water in one of the container, and don't put water in other container. Put candles in both of them. In one container, because of the presence of moisture, you will see formation of dewdrops, which is nothing but cloud. Okay? In the other one, you will see nothing. So this is a very simple science exercise which you can teach your kids at home how clouds form. Okay. So there are different mechanisms of cloud formation, and they are due to the presence of fronts. And there are two fronts: cold front and warm front. So cold front is nothing but cold air under warm air. Okay, so as the cold air moves, it will lift the hot air, and that will create a updraft and lead to formation of clouds. Okay, very clear, right? Cold air on the bottom and warm air on the top. So as the cold air is moving, it will push the hot air, and that will lead to formation of clouds. Okay. Basically, you need some kind of updraft. So this updraft is produced because of the presence of this cold front which is moving in, and because of continuity, there is no way there is nowhere else this warm air can go except upwards. Okay. On the other hand, warm front is one where warm front is riding on the bottom and cold air is riding on the top. So this is also important because as the warm air is underlying the cold air, because warm air is lighter, its tendency is to move up. Okay, so that is another way of cloud formation. And the third way is basically topographic lifting. As the clouds goes over a mountain, it is automatically being lifted up because of the topography of the mountain, so it will automatically condense. Okay, so these are the three ways in which you can form clouds. The fourth way we have already talked about, which is just the pure ground heating, so pure convection driven. Okay, no need of front, no need of mountain, just pure ground based lifting. These are the three ways. These are satellite images which shows the fronts. So wherever there is a lot of cloudiness is the cloud formation. So cold air has gone in and warm air has been pushed up, and that's how the cloud formation has taken place. Okay. So let us now. I think this was a kind of a basic introduction to how a cloud form. So I've kept it. I've tried to keep it very simple. So now let us finish off with types of clouds. There are multiple types of clouds, at least 12, 10 or 12 different types of clouds. But the most important, and they are at different heights: low clouds, middle clouds, high clouds. But the most important are the low clouds. The reason I say is the stratus, cumulus, nimbostratus, and cumulus are the important clouds because they are the most rain-bearing clouds. Okay, so nimbostratus, stratocumulus, and stratus are kind of rain-bearing clouds. Nimbostratus is a very dark cloud, heavy, which usually you see during monsoon, and it is seen at low levels below 2 kilometers, and these are generally monsoon clouds. Okay, and they sustain for several hours. They are not very tall. Okay, cumulonimbus on the other hand, which is a thunder cloud. Cumulonimbus is a thunder cloud because and it usually forms during pre-monsoon season, which is the thunderstorm season, or post-monsoon, because the heating is very high. The heating leads to high amount of CAPE and low amount of SIN, which allows these clouds to grow higher, and deep moist convection also happens, which leads to formation of these tall cumulonimbus clouds, which can reach up to 8 to 10 kilometers, and they can also produce hail. Nimbostratus and stratocumulus cannot produce hail. Okay, they can produce heavy rain. Okay, and in general nimbostratus will stay for a longer time, whereas cumulonimbus will kind of dissipate in a much faster. So maybe you will have very heavy rain for 30 minutes, after that nothing. That's how the thunderstorms are there, right? Because you see heavy rain for 30 minutes and then nothing, whereas nimbostratus during monsoon you see continuous rain for 6, 7, 8 hours at a stretch, right? So these are very tall thunder clouds and heavy rain with thunder and lightning, and they are as tall as 8 to 9 kilometers. So you have to keep that in mind. Stratocumulus are gray clouds. Where they are usually round and in form of cells, and these are associated with very light rain, only passing showers. Okay. Then there are other types of clouds, which is stratus. Stratus is very cloudy weather, overcast sky. You see it on a very normal day when there are clouds which don't give rain, but the sky is overcast. Correct. So that is the stratus clouds or altostratus clouds. Altostratus clouds also are just cloudy weather is there, but no rain. But altostratus, if they come down vertically down, then they can become nimbostratus and they can give rise to rain. Okay, that you have to remember. Then there are cirrus clouds, which are very high clouds, which as I have shown here, cirrus, cirrocumulus, these clouds, very high clouds, which don't generally give rain. They are in form of thin whips. Basically, they indicate ice crystals because the clouds have gone all the way and have departed from the major cloud body, and they are just lying around in kind of ice pattern. And since they don't coagulate with each other, so they are not very heavy, so they can suspend in air. Okay, but the cirrus clouds means generally fair and pleasant weather. Okay, so cumulus and cirrus means very fair weather. Cumulus and cirrus means fair weather, no chance of rain. Cumulonimbus on the other hand is rain bearing cloud. Okay, so this is how the different cloud types are defined. So I hope this video was useful. So if you like this video, please share it with your friends, and I'll be back with more updates later. All right, thank you for watching this video. I will have educational videos time to time, and if you have any suggestions, please put it in the comment box. Thank you so much.